So you're welcome to the Leadership Masterclass in the Smart Leader Lab. Today's session is Shouldn't You Lead Smarter? It's version 2.0 as I call it. And the subject is, when you look at it, it's a question. And I'd like for each of us to reflect on that question. I believe that at different levels, we're playing leadership roles. We don't have to, have a formal title, to be a leader or to play a leadership role. And as long as you're playing a leadership role, you can ask yourself that question, should I, in fact, lead smarter? Is there scope for me to lead smarter? Leading smarter is leading better. And I think, as you would see shortly, there is always scope for us to do better. But more precisely, there is scope for you and I to lead smarter. That word smarter is used deliberately. It simply means that when you compare two leaders, one accomplishes results, the results of leadership more easily. More easily means with the use of resources, more easily means, with greater ease, and is not bogged down by the weight of what is considered to be a huge responsibility. And a lot of leaders need to learn to lead smarter, and they can always lead smarter. And there is how to lead smarter. And what you have me share in this session are, simply insights to challenge you and I to lead smarter. But if I might say, at this early stage, is to challenge us to commit ourselves to seeking how to do it. There is a way to do it. The totality of what I deliver today doesn't give you 100% the way to do it, but it challenges you to see that it can be done. It challenges you by showing you some of the things that I believe that you have not been mindful of. And if you were to be mindful of them from today, you begin to see a difference in your approach. You begin to see a difference in your impact. You begin to see a difference in the effectiveness of your leadership. And to that extent, it becomes, it becomes imperative for us to explore this subject and to really look out for how we can lead smarter. All right, so shouldn't you lead smarter? Every time we hold sessions like this, I always challenge every one of us as participants to look inwards, meaning these things are for you. They are meant to bring about an improvement, to bring about a change. They are meant to empower you to be more effective. So there is no use listening to them without asking yourself questions as you go along. As you go along, each of what we share, you ask yourself, in what way does it apply to me? Does this, am I also in this kind of position? Do I do something like this? Am I also vulnerable to these kinds of mistakes and errors? Now, that's the way to benefit from sessions like this, because once you can identify the areas where you are challenged, then of course what you need to focus on and perhaps where you need to go to address such challenges. I'm passionate about leadership. I think a number of us may have interacted with me. That's all I do right now. And I have people that I coach on a yearly basis who are basically learning to do leadership better than they're currently doing it. And it's always a privilege, to share um, insights on this all important subject, Let me start you out by saying a confused leader focuses on everyone. A smart leader focuses on the chosen one. What am I saying? I thought of, perhaps jostling, you, or maybe even making you to sit up with this truth. It's not just fact, it's true. What are we saying? Now, simply put, many of us come to the leadership assignment believing that we have responsibility for many people and relating to the team as a team rather than relating to the team by relating on personal basis. The leadership responsibility is not the leadership of people as a team, is the leadership of individuals, even though they are members of a team. So you don't run the risk of painting everybody with the same brush. And you mind the fact that the leadership responsibility, the leadership mandate is a mandate given in respect of one person. Every leader is sent to an individual. There may be many of them under your purview, just as you can have many mentors. And so your relationship is a one-to-one relationship, no matter whether they are parts of a team or not. So you see, the one who understands how to do leadership right and smartly while managing a team focuses on developing relationships with every member of the team. At least with direct reports. By every member, I mean direct reports. I don't mean that you have people, maybe you have 3 people reporting to you. Under each of the 3 people, they also have many people reporting to them. Now, your leadership is direct, first of all, to the 3 people that report to you. They have responsibility for every other person that reports to them. And if you do your job well with the 3, they will transfer it, to the people reporting to them individually. All right. So that's one of the things to show you that smartness is required. Now, you would agree with me that it's a different ball game if you see individual members of your team as, people that you must have a one-to-one relationship with. The leader-follower relationship must be one-to-one, as opposed to looking at the 3 of them as being people that you manage. And so your relationship is with a team. Your relationship is not with individual members. I guarantee that your leadership will be less effective to that extent. I guarantee that will undermine your ability to make the requisite impact, all right, that will show the kind of results that you want. And one of the reasons is very simply that every one of those people, they are different levels of development. And so the input they require from you cannot be general. The input they require from you must be tailor-made to each person. You have to meet each person at the level of their development. You have to meet each person at the level of their need, of their transformational need. So there you are. You can begin to see that even that singular insight will change the way that you approach your leadership assignment. If that happens, you begin to see as well how you start becoming a smart leader compared to what you were doing before. Just one thing, just one change, and you see how the approach changes. So you might be thinking, what's the big deal about, this smart leadership thing? Well, therein lies an example of the big deal. And that's just one. And that's just one. you know. So let's stay on course. That hopefully starts out. Now, this is how we go through this session. Why should you lead smarter? So, what's the imperative to lead smarter? Then we look at what does it mean? What does leading smart mean? That is, how do you know when you are leading smarter? Then, what leading smarter takes? What does it take? What does it take? It's like, what must I do? What must I be aware of? What must I take note of in order to lead smarter? Leading smarter, as you must have inferred, it's a challenge to review, to rejig, to change your approach to leadership. All right, so that you can do it with less demand on you and your resources, and you can have, all right, in exchange for that, greater impact. And that impact is not usually what people think. It's not in terms of the bottom line, not in terms of the P&L or in terms of market share, at least not primarily, but it's more in terms of how you affect your people, in what way you affect your people. Then I will share with you some insights, some strategies, some thoughts about how practical ways, practical things to be mindful of. Just as I teased you with one earlier on. And then we look at some other imperatives and putting insights to action. So, why must you lead smarter? All right, while we're at it, I want to encourage you, please use the chat. Give me some feedback as we go. Let's know, that you're following, convey what is the message that you are receiving, what is striking you. And if you do have questions, please feel free, to ask. What's the imperative? Is leading smart really a must? Oh, well, let's look at it. Why is it a must? First, your people deserve it. If you can improve, if you can make greater impact, all right, if you can be less burdened by the responsibility, don't your people deserve that? If you are mindful of the fact that leadership is about people, primarily, don't they deserve a better deal to lead smart, or smarter, as the case may be? Some others, we call them smart learners, all right? Some people may choose to refer to them as managers, that they are not leaders. So they need to transform from smart learners, or transit from smart learners to smart leaders. But some lead smart, or at least they like to believe that they are leading smart. They're not doing a bad job of leading or providing leadership. But then we challenge even those to say, well, yes, you are leading smart, but you can lead smarter. You can lead smarter, except, we agree, and that will be tough. We all tend to agree that we can always improve on whatever it is we're doing currently, wherever we are currently. Second, your purpose deserves it. Your purpose deserves it. What do we mean by your purpose? What's the purpose of your leadership? That's a question I'd like to pose to you. If you're in a leadership position, if you are in a leadership role, a leadership role is one where, you still act as a leader even though you are not designated as one officially. or you are not given that authority. But there are many such people, in their teams, in their organizations that hold leadership roles. They have influence, they have power, they can mobilize people to get things done. Their influence leads to the transformation of their people to that extent. They are leaders. So there's the leadership role, there's the leadership position. Those are the more formal designated people. So whichever way, the purpose of your leadership deserves it. The purpose of your leadership deserves it. Now, perhaps you would appreciate that better when you understand that leadership is about people. Leadership is about the destinies of people. Leadership is about what becomes of people. Without credible leadership, the fullness of the potential of people cannot be exploited. Now, if the life of people means anything to you, don't they deserve? All right. And if your leadership, the purpose of leadership is tied to the quality of fulfillment, all right, that they experience in life, doesn't that demand, or deserve that you should do anything to lead smarter? Your future as well deserves it. Your future deserves it. If you're a leader and you understand what leadership is all about, you know that the leaders rise by lifting others. Leaders rise through the kind of impact they are able to make on others. All right. So when you lead smarter, what you are doing is serving, your own future, is creating, a brighter future for yourself. Why must you lead smarter? To avoid waste. To avoid waste. Why should you spend 1 hour doing something that you can accomplish in 10 minutes? That is being smart. So if you do in 1 hour what you can do in 10 minutes, you have wasted 50 minutes. You have wasted 50 minutes. Now, if you are careful enough to observe your approach to leadership, you would find where you expend more resources, whatever it is, whether it is your time, whether it is your money, whether it is your strength, whether it's even your knowledge, your teaching, different resources that you bring to the table can be used more efficiently, in order to achieve more effective results. That is being smart. That's being smart. Now, why must you lead smarter? To explore new frontiers. There's always a way of doing whatever it is you are doing now better. There's always a way. And so, doing that, you're exploring new frontiers. By coming to this session today, you are interested in exploring new frontiers. If you contact anything today that strikes you, that you didn't know before, and you begin to put it to use, you are better off to that extent. You are better off to that extent. So you see that in the quest to lead smarter, that becomes your lot. That becomes your gain, as it were, new frontiers. And then, why should you lead smarter? You can accomplish more. Smartness is about using as little as I can, all right, to achieve as much as possible. So you can accomplish more. You certainly can accomplish more. Whatever your level of development, whatever your level of exposure, in fact, whatever your level of commitment as a leader, you can accomplish more. You can accomplish more. So when we talk about, being a smart leader, or we ask that question, shouldn't you lead smarter? You can see that it's just about, opening your eyes and challenging you that wherever you are in the spectrum of, the development of leaders, you can always move further. You can always move upward. You can always get better results. So who are this smarter lot? All right. And I said here, like it or not, there are others leading smarter than you are. Why is that the case? Let's examine a couple of things. Why are there smart leaders, for example? One of the things they do is that they deploy passion better. They exhibit greater passion as far as that function is concerned. They are not doing it for the sake of themselves. They are not doing it for the sake of even getting a promotion. They are not doing it, all right, for some ulterior motive. They are not even doing it reluctantly. And I can guarantee you that some do leadership like that. Some come to a leadership responsibility and they are so burdened by the weight of that responsibility, they wish they didn't have responsibility for anybody, that they could just do their own thing. But life is not like that. If you have got to any position today that is worth anything, it's not because of you, it's because you have been under some leader or the other. So you have benefited from leadership input. If you have not benefited from leadership input, you couldn't have made the kind of progress that you made today. People don't grow without leadership. That's the truth. And people will never fulfill their full potential in life without leadership. The truth is that some people have gone ahead of you, and they have laid tracks for you, even if you don't want to accept it, either by their successes or by their mistakes, or in fact, both. All right, so there are people who are more passionate. They bring greater passion to the job. There are people who understand purpose, the purpose of leadership better. For example, some people, let me put this across. I may not be able to fully explain it, but I'm hoping that you will take advantage later to try and access the fullness of that. I say, for example, that some leaders prioritize getting results above the transformation of their people. All right? They don't understand purpose. The purpose of leadership is not primarily to get results, it is primarily to bring about a transformation in people. Because when people that you have to make use of anyway, you have to make use of the people. No leader can do everything by himself. All right? You have to make use of people, even if you don't accept that their input is critical, okay, in order for you to achieve the results. And you discover the more you are able to replicate your own competencies and skills in your people, the better the results, the easier it is for you to get results. So you see that leaders who place people at the center of their purpose, who understand people transformation as the center of their purpose, they are smarter. They will get better results. Now, it may take a bit of time, but ultimately, they will get better results. And those are the kinds of leaders that organizations need. Ultimately, those who can replicate their capacity in many others, so that they produce many more champions instead of trying to project themselves and to preserve themselves as, the champion. All right. So, and then I think by implication, there are people who carry the burden of leadership better. Make no mistake. Well, as some of those who are present today who have gone through the Smart Leader program, or who are going through the Smart Leader program currently, may have come, across in some of the videos, leadership is burdensome. Leadership has weights. Having to mind people and to work to transform people is burdensome. It's not piece of cake. A lot of sacrifice is involved. But therein lies the key. Therein lies the key to smartness. Some people can handle that weight better, can handle that sacrifice a lot better. Why? Because they have the right understanding as well. And they have the right set of skills to know how to manage the burden. Some people don't even understand what the burden really is. All right, what constitutes a burden to them is not what the burden of leadership truly is. Now, when you have that all mixed up, you can imagine that leadership will be burdensome, certainly. And if it is, and you feel it is, then you can be as smart as you ought to be, doing that. You can be as smart as you ought to be doing that. All right. They pursue the right priorities and structure. Like I said, I'm taking note of the questions, and I like, that some questions and comments are beginning to come in. Please, I encourage you to do that. Pending when I open the floor for you to make your contributions and to express your comments. All right, so they pursue the right priorities and structure. I think that speaks as well for itself. You can't be leading smart if you have misplaced your priorities. What are the priorities of leaders? Make no mistake, there are priorities of leaders. There are 4 key priorities. If your leadership does not focus on them and in the right order, you are going to run into problems. All right, you can't be a smart leader. You'll mix up a lot of things. You'll be frustrated, you'll be overwhelmed, and you may even be burnt out at the end of the day. They know how to manage their vulnerabilities better. Every leader is vulnerable. Every leader is vulnerable. No matter your status, every leader is vulnerable. I do have a leadership personality quiz, that I hopefully will share with you at the end, where each of us can assess what our leadership personality type is. And one of the things I said, as the results, there is a particular leadership personality type that if you fall into that, your undoing or the challenge of your leadership or your leadership style, it will be how vulnerable you are or how prone, all right, to vulnerability you are in one area or the other. So smart leaders are vulnerable, but they know their sources of vulnerability and they develop the capacity to manage themselves very well at their vulnerable moments. That is when their vulnerabilities are tried. All right, when their vulnerabilities are tried. Some people, you can get them upset by making them angry. Some people, you can get them upset by not giving them what they consider to be, honor or respect or regard. All right, and you may have seen that. Some people are so vulnerable that not greeting them can provoke, an unfortunate reaction from them. And they are leaders. We all have. Some people are vulnerable, to jokes. All right, you make a statement you may not even have intended as a joke, or maybe you intended it as a light moment, but they don't understand that, and it can truly, their reaction can truly mess them up as leaders. All right, and then one of the most important things that also distinguishes smart leaders, and shows that they're smarter leaders is the issue of diligence. Some people are more diligent, they are more faithful, all right, to their responsibility. Okay, now let me speak to the comment here, it says, is result not important? We are meant to use people to achieve results within a certain period of time. There are a number of problems that come from this statement, and I'm not sure if the statement accurately captures the leadership demeanor or orientation of the one who has expressed it. But let me draw your attention to a few things. First of all, results are important. All right. They are just not the ultimate. All right. And results are the product of what people do. Now, if you are smart, you work on your people and work with your people to achieve those results. You work with your people to develop in them what it takes to get results. Results don't appear by themselves. Results are the product of skills, of what you and I possess, of our makeup. So, what a leader does is those things that make you qualified to lead, you need to empty them, as it were, or share them, or replicate them more precisely in your people. So instead of having one person who is the superstar, now you have many people who share the same skills at different levels. All right, so two are better than one, and a threefold cord you can't easily break. Therein lies the strength of a true leader and the ability of a true leader, a smart leader, to get results. Now, so you don't use your people, and I hope that you didn't intend to use that word in the manner that is coming across. But leaders don't use their people because it makes it look as if your people are a means to an end. Your people are not the primary deal. Your results are the primary deal. Even you will not appreciate that I'm being used to get results, which means you can get results without me gaining anything. And people lead in that manner. If you lead, you can get results, and your people will not change. Your people will not become better than they are. Your people will have nothing to write home about substantively in terms of, okay, so what have we gained? We have worked with you, we have got results, but what have we gained? We don't know better. We can't do things if you are not there. So, what's the essence of your leadership if when you step aside, your people can't get things done? Your people will not be able to get things done when you have not replicated those capabilities that you have in there. They won't get things done when you have not taken the time to locate what is peculiar and unique to them and to help them to take advantage of it. So you don't use people, you work with people, you build up people so that they can get results. Now, when you box yourself into the concept of getting results within a certain period of time, it can be tricky. And this is where organizations themselves miss it. So we give targets without regard to the fact that the people need to develop, all right, in order to be able to. And so, to that extent, some organizations, they influence adversely the approach of their employees, of their leaders, to that issue of leadership. But a true leader sacrifices some bit of the short term, all right, for the medium term. Because depending on the level of development of your people, you may have to invest more time bringing them up to speed. Now, that may look as if you're slow, but that's a sure way, that's a smart way, because when they gain momentum, when they improve in competence, the rate of production of results will be far in excess of what you are trying to get them to do. All right? It will be far in excess of what you are trying to get them to do. And that is smarter. That's a smarter way. At times a smarter way looks stupid because people don't understand that it is based on principle and you are working within a clear and proven framework. And that framework requires some level of patience in the short run. Of course, depending on the, you know, what the capabilities of your team are. But please don't use people. Please don't place your first result actually as a leader is measured by what becomes of your people. Your secondary result are the numbers. Are the numbers. If you put the one before the other, if that means already you are beginning to misplace your priorities. It is the reason why some leaders are overwhelmed, why they burn out, because they are trying to flog a dead horse. Some leaders don't want to invest in their people first. They assume that their people are capable. They assume that their people should be able to do what they can do without making the effort to invest in their people. You must invest in your people and not just spending money. You must invest in teaching your people how to do things that you are capable of doing, in showing your people how to do things, all right, before you can build a realistic and reasonable expectation of what they should bring to the table. And if that is your approach, then you become smarter as you lead. All right. So, okay. So let's look at, so I would, be dealing with those comments as, they come. So what's our concept of smart? You've gotten a sense of it again, and I'd like to encourage each of us, um, at the end, please, or at some point I will share with you, the 30-day program is a smart leader program. It's a 30-day program. It's very convenient for you to take. It's video based completely. Nobody disturbs you. You take it at your own time. A video a day. Each video is at the maximum 45 minutes. On the average, it's about 30 minutes. A message is delivered every day. Every day builds on the other. There is no way to come through the 30 days with an extra roundup on the 31st day, and you will still be doing leadership the way you are doing it. There are very deep insights, that I share there. So again, if you get anything from here, know that it doesn't, just wonder how much you would hear, in a program like that, and it's pretty cheap, by the way. Even if I have to say so for now, it's just 30,000 or $300. So there's a price for those of us in this part of town. There's a price for those of others in other parts of town. So what does it take to be smart? You achieve leadership purpose with greater ease and at lower cost. That cost is not just naira and kobo or dollars and sterling. That cost is whatever is cost you. And the cost of leadership is measured less in terms of how much money you put in, but more in terms of the key sacrifices that you make. And as you would see, one of the things we mentioned, and one of the things that undermines the smartness of leaders is that they often do not count the cost of leadership. All right. And that's why, for example, they are quick, they are under pressure to achieve certain things, and they're pushing the pressure on their people without seeing to what the kind of empowerment that their people need in order to be able to embrace, their expectations. 2, you need to be effective at getting people to hear, to receive, and to do what you say. If you're a smart leader, this is one thing you must. Bottom line, you find it easier to influence your people. Again, not to use your people, not to intimidate your people, not to oppress your people, not to railroad your people into getting things done. All right? Leaders lead by genuine and legitimate influence, and they work to earn it. You don't demand it, all right, except in your very early days when the team is still, when you're still trying to get to understand each other and work needs to be done. But ultimately, you earn it. When you earn it, people line up behind you. People line up with you. People throw themselves, all right, into what you all have to accomplish without you having to vibrate, without you having to sweet tongue, without you having to threaten, all right? And that's how, leadership is done. That's the route that a smart leader will take. They operate sound leadership truths that deliver predictable results. I can't talk enough about the need for a foundation of truth by the leader. So, what's your leadership based on? What drives your leadership? What truths or principles is your approach or is your style of leadership anchored to? That any day your people can say, this is how she does, this is how she thinks, these are the things that she cares so much about. And they know that to be truth. They know that to be truth. And if you are not operating by the truth, you are not smart. The reason is simple. And many can claim to operate by the truth, but it's very easy, to find out. I can ask us, you can look at yourself and say, list like 3-4 things that are principles, they are truths, they don't change, around which your leadership is anchored. Think about it. You may struggle to list the 4. And if you are successful in listing the 4, and I hope that the 4 that you listed are true, that they are truths, they are principles, all right, then I would ask you, if we ask those you are leading, what are the principles that the leader operates by? What will they say? Will they list the 4? If they don't list the 4, then that's not how you're operating. If they don't list the 4, then those principles are known to you alone. They are not known to the people that you are superintending over. And if they are not known to the people that you are superintending over, you are not doing it right. How do people follow you when they don't know what they believe, what you believe, what you are committed to, how you run your shop? And many times, we like them to infer, we like them to see. And so we'd even go to the extent of saying, well, they should look at us as examples. Hello. That I look at you as an example doesn't mean that I would understand the principle by which you run. And so we fail to elaborate on it, assuming that we have it. But why do you run a big risk when you're not running on the basis of those truths, of those principles? It's because you can't be consistent. If you're not consistent, you can't be authentic. So you make yourself out as a hypocrite leader. Although you carry yourself and conduct yourself as though you are credible. So there is a picture you think you're projecting, but your people are seeing a different picture. Why? All because your leadership has no anchor. Principles represent a solid anchor to which you tie your approach to leadership. Otherwise, you become an object of ridicule. All right, so what it takes to be smart. You focus on building personality instead of pursuing results. Again, you can see. So the essence of, you see the issue there. Building personality is your focus. Personality determines result. Personality does what? Determines result. If I might use an interesting parable here, Emmet is about, nurturing leadership based on the word of truth. When you look at the parable of the sower that many of us, the parable of talents, I believe that everybody knows that. When the guys came back with their report card, having been given some money to go and invest, how were they described? He said, well done, good and faithful servants. That's personality. He didn't talk about skill there. All right. He's the reason that you guys were able to do this is because of your personality. Is because of the character attributes that have been formed in you. All right. So you want to get good results. Where did he talk about their technical skills? Where did he talk about the skills, their investment skills, or their ability to crunch the numbers? They were not mentioned. Meaning that it's not that they are not there, but they are not the most important things. You truly want to know why I get results? Please don't look at my skill alone. What you should look at are what are the character, what are the attributes that make up my personality. If you pay attention to the attributes, you get the key. You get the key. Many people want to follow the steps that some other people list. So you hear, let me show you exactly the steps I followed to make 7-figure income, exactly the things I did, blah, blah, blah. It's not about the things that you did. And that's why many at times they fail. They fail. They follow the same steps, but they don't get the results. Why? Because many times those people don't talk about why they were able to go through those steps, which is their character or their personality. If you leave it out of the equation, there is no way to guarantee results just on the basis of a list of steps. There is no way. Then you need to watch to plant your seeds in the right soil. You need to watch to plant your seeds in the right soil. Don't treat everybody in your team as though they all have the same personality, they are all at the same level of development. Whatever you do to A will have the same effect on everybody else. That's not going to work. That's like planting your seeds in different soils, assuming that all the soils are the same. All right, but look at each of your people, their hearts as though they were soils, because that's what you're trying to change in order to get people, all right, to do better, to become better. Okay, so that's important. If you're not doing that, you're not leading smart and you won't get the right result. Imagine the farmer that just plants seed anywhere, even with this, the same perimeter, and I have done a bit of farming. You discover that the soil is not the same. Just because your parcel of land is 1 acre, it doesn't mean that the soil is uniformly endowed within the 1 acre. There are patches within that 1 acre that if you plant the same seed that you plant in other areas in the acre, it will not grow, let alone give you any any fruit or harvest. And there are places that will give you great harvest, while some others give you just some harvest. The reason, the soil is different. That's why that's why farmers do what they call, soil assessment. So they know where to plant and what to plant where. That place that did not produce oranges may be good for producing pepper. All right? But we don't do that. So which farmer is smarter? The one who takes knowledge of what is my soil like, and then decides, finds out what will produce in each soil and goes ahead to give each soil what it will take, or the one who just takes one seed and just, you know, plants it all across. I mean, of course, the one who will get better results because it's the one that is smarter. The one who is smarter will give to each soil what the best seed they need and the best treatment they need. Okay? So, and then know how to deploy your multidimensional personality. Leaders don't have, effective leaders, smart leaders, don't have just one personality. All right? They are excuse me, they are multidimensional because there is a way to deal in certain situations. There's a time to be like a dove. There's a time to be like a serpent. All right, the same leader. There's a time to operate as a shepherd. There's a time, all right, to speak to your people with a strong hand. The same leader. Okay, so you are smarter when you are not carrying on an all-purpose approach. you know, when you are so predictable that it doesn't matter the scenario, you act in the same way. You can that. I mean, you and I know that can't be pointing to effectiveness in any way. So, what do you need to be a smart leader? Uh, Now, this is so you need to have clarity on the purpose of your leadership. You need to understand the process of getting people to believe in you. And notice the process. There's a process. You need to secure the knowledge and command of what I call brutal truths. I mean, for those who are interested, there's a class that I call the class of 12. 12 executives with me for 12 weeks, 1 day a week, dealing with 12 core truths of leadership. They are bittersweet, but you can't build your approach to leadership on that, on the 12 core truths. You can't anchor your leadership on that and not, be unique and not be spectacular in your results. All right. I call it the class of 12. And the next edition of that is starting off by 29th of September. If you're interested, you can indicate in the chat and I'll send you some details on that. So, you know, you need to secure the command of brutal truths, so that you can anchor your approach, appropriately. You need to understand why, how, why, and what personality serves your leadership purpose. Notice what personality serves your leadership purpose. All right. How? Why is that the case? How does it work? I've made some remarks on that. We can go far deeper to talk about personality, to see what the makeup, of the right leadership personality is and why it is so potent. All right, and how to build it. What are the elements and what are the attributes? How do you build them? All right, so that you enhance through them your ability to get results, like I said, first with your people and subsequently with, a more concrete, our usual kind of results. Gain insights into the dynamics of the heart of followers. That is talking about leading. You need to be able to lead from the heart. It's easier said, but many don't, interpret it correctly. And the heart is at the center, of your ability to impact anybody. All right. That's why, interestingly, you have the scripture that says, "My son, give me your heart." If a follower gives you their heart, you can't take it by force. It's not one of those things you take by force. It is something that you appeal to. I mean, imagine, "My son, give me your heart." Is an appeal. Is a recognition that it is in the hand of your son to yield the heart. And it is a recognition on your part that until I gain access to your heart, I cannot achieve the transformation that I desire for you. All right? So you need to understand that dynamic. And so, how do you access the heart? What do you do to make, your followers yield their heart? And when they do, what do you plant into their heart? All right? That produces the kind of results that you want to get. This is how these things work, ladies and gentlemen. All right, and then study the strategic use of that multidimensional personality of the leader that I talked about. All right, let me step back a bit and look at some of the comments in the chat that have been made. Okay. The leaders' one-to-one meetings with team members are more important than the general team meeting. Yes, basically, you see, there is a place for general team meetings, all right, but don't have general team meetings to the exclusion of one-on-one, meetings, all right. But what I'm even saying goes beyond meetings. All right. What I'm saying is that as a leader, focus on one-to-one relationship with every member of the team. Let every member feel that they are part, not just of the team, but that they have a leader-follower relationship with you. It is not in your best interest. You can't be effective as a leader if all they see is that he's the one leading our team. You understand? It's different from is the one leading our team, but I have a relationship directly with him. He's my leader, I can say that. I'm not saying he's our leader. I'm saying he's my leader. There is a world of difference. Because leadership is personal, even within the context of a team. All right? That's the point that, and I think, Onyinyechi got that very well. Great. So, yeah, personalized relationship, yet not biased. Hopefully, I will speak to that in a bit. I agree, it's essential to build a team, impact people positively. But how do you balance that against results, particularly in a target-driven environment? I do hope that I have spoken, to that, but please just hold it on. I will still crave some clarification from you, and you can speak to the house by the time we are done. Let me, just go ahead and share a few more, so let's examine the how to, all right, how to become that smart leader that we've talked about. You need to accept that it makes sense to keep improving. You need to be open to better ways of getting things done with better results to show for it. All right? Accept that it makes sense to keep improving. All right? If you don't, you can't change. If you don't, you can't go, all right? You can't make the necessary efforts. Then be open to better ways. You are not just seeking to do things differently, you are seeking to do things better. All right, not just difference. It's not difference for the sake of being different. It is a difference that achieves a better result. All right, for the purpose of your leadership. All right, for the purpose of your leadership. And then you need to seek for those better ways. Be open to receive. Some people are not open. They are caught up in their tradition, like the Pharisees. They can't see that, wait a minute, this approach is better than the way I used to do it. They are not even willing to try. All right? They are caught up in custom. This is how we do it. This is what they said. Okay? And then you need to go after it. Where can I learn those better ways? All right? And start proving them. And I use this very deliberate. You learn the better ways after you seek them out and you start proving them. Why? Because you have to practice them to see their result. If you don't, you won't see their results. When you practice, when you learn them, you practice them, you see their results, you know the work. Then you know the work. You have proven them. And then, you can increase, you can intensify your efforts in the use of them. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. What are those things that keep us from leading smart? We overrate ourselves. Many of us as leaders or in leadership roles overrate ourselves. Some are satisfied with the status quo, not knowing that whatever they're achieving today, they can achieve far more, even if only they knew a bit more, at least. Then some are just ignorant, undermined by self-pride. Undermined by self-pride. So, what is required to drive you? Why should you be motivated? I suppose you should be motivated enough based on all that we have said. But just in case, you can ask yourself these questions. They are motivated, in my view. Are you really at your best currently? Can you beat your chest to say that this is it? I'm doing great. I mean, I'm fantastic. Okay. Can you say that? Can you say that? All right. Number two, and I'm sure you're not at your best. Don't your people deserve more? Remember, we asked that question previously. Don't they deserve more? If you're a true leader who ought to be focused on the people, who put people above self, don't they deserve more? Isn't it in your best interest to give them more? And then should you even be satisfied yet? How far have you gone? Should you be satisfied yet? Can't you do more? Isn't there more ground to cover? So, brutal truths that we need to hear. You are far from what you are capable of achieving. So stop underrepresenting yourself. You are shortchanging the people you are leading. So stop being so self-centered. There are smarter ways of getting those results, whether it is to transform your people or that ultimate result that many of us often care about to the detriment of our people. So stop accepting less than is possible. They are hard truths, and I hope that we can embrace them. So let me rush through some of the strategies that, for leading smart. So I'm just going to share with you a couple of things here. And pardon me if I rush through them, is so that I can give you some opportunity. I didn't, there are a number of them that I didn't mention last week, but I'll mention today. I just selected like 21 of them. But if these are things, if these are all things that you just decide to practice or to put to use, I'm sure things will be different. I'm sure things, will be different. And they still don't compare, by the way, with whatever you find in the Smart Leader program, which I've talked about. And even, the class of 12 is an advanced class. It's an advanced class. You don't come to that class except you are ready to hear truth and you are open. I said you need to be open to better ways of doing things. And some people can't handle certain truths. All right, but if you can, you also want to, let's meet in that class. And you can put in place the right foundation for you to become an irresistible leader, a smart leader, one who is guaranteed, to be on top of his or her game to get results. All right, so let's look at some of the things that you need to do. Now I'm starting today differently. All right, so I said, what discoveries have you made? What clarity do you have about your leadership mandate? Have you made any clear and unambiguous discoveries? What do I mean? I like the kind of statement that motivated. The first questions I answered, where I tried to throw some light on the issue of results. Okay, now, um, so what I'm saying here is you must be clear about the purpose of your leadership. You must be clear. Many leaders are not clear. Is that okay? So I've been put on this seat, I've been promoted on this seat, this is my budget, this is my target. And as far as they're concerned, that's the purpose of their leadership. No. How narrow can that be? Because today, yes, you are there, it's about profit. What about the day when they make you head of HR? What about the day when they make you head of risk management? So those targets are going to change. Those so-called results are going to change. Guess what does not change? Everywhere you go, you are superintending over people, over different kinds of people. That doesn't change. So your leadership is over people. Your leadership is not because of results. All right? So if you are not clear about what it is that you are supposed to bring about, the kind of change that you are supposed to bring about in your people, then you already start your leadership on what I believe to be a faulty foundation. And you need to be clear about what your mandate is. One, to stay focused. Two, to give your people what to expect from you. Too many lead without their people knowing, where are we going? What should we expect? What's in it for me? And you can't lead like that. That's not what a smart leader does. You first must know what your job is as a leader. And it's not often determined by the label on your seat. All right? It's often determined by the makeup of the people that you are given responsibility for. Okay, so you need to be more purposeful in your leadership. And for each one, I'm giving a summary this week, which I didn't give. So the good leader is excited, is only excited to lead. But the smart leader leads what? On purpose. The smart leader leads on purpose, is driven by clear and credible purpose, not by profit, not by market share, not by cost effectiveness, not by zero tolerance for non-compliance. All of those are secondary. They are by no means important, but they are secondary. And you don't, get carried away with that. Are you discerning enough? This goes to speak to the issue that I started out with, which is don't treat everybody as the same. Are you discerning enough about the people that you have responsibility for? Do you take enough interest to get to know each one at their core? Because if you understand that you have a mandate to affect each one individually, then it will be a shame for you not to understand each one at their core. Because how do you then know how to take each one from where they are to where you want to take them to? All right? It's important. Knowing them helps you to know what treatment to give each one, and not serve everybody Panadol, assuming that all of them have headache. just because they are in the same environment. Whereas some people may have typhoid, others have headache. If you don't know, you are in for an unpleasant surprise. You are in for a lot of headache because you will give Panadol to one will become okay because her problem was headache. Another will not become okay, might even get worse because her problem was typhoid. And you will be complaining that that person is not responding. And you get frustrated. And you will blame the person. But you won't blame yourself who did not take time to discern, to diagnose what the problem of that individual is. So if you want to spare yourself all of that headache, meaning that you need to be smart about how to deal with each so that you know where they are, their circumstance or their level of development in this case is probably diagnosed, and you can administer the right treatment and therefore produce the right result. Okay, therefore produce the right result. Now, even if it means you are taking everybody to the same destination, you are making them into something. I said in one of my quotes, leaders are makers. The destination that they take people to is defined by personality. All right? It's not in it's not a physical destination. It's their makers. Follow me, he said, and I will make you. Make you what? Into something. Into something. So the good leader paints all with the same brush, unfortunately, because they still get some results. The smart leader discerns individually and therefore does the needful. Okay. Do you, what I call a commanding charge, in this case, do you give a clear enough charge to your people on what they should aspire to become? So now that you are the leader, what are we going to become under your your charge? What do you charge the people to become? What do you call them to? What do you call their attention to? All right? They have work to do. Followers have work to do. They need to cooperate with you in order to achieve some objective. But what is the objective? And that objective must be defined in terms of who you want them to become. And of course, to show the connection between that and the results you would like them to get. So you are saying, what the result do I want to get in you? Do I want to achieve in you? What do I want to make you into? And this is what you need to rise up to in order to become that. Again, in my years of experience, I'm not sure that many of us as leaders, made that smart move, which would have set where we are going, what do we expect in terms of the kind of collaboration or cooperation, all right, from our people. It would have set it before everybody. All right, we're clear. What are the terms of engagement? Okay? So the casual leader's intention is to do good. Yeah. But that's not enough. That can't be enough. The smart leader gives a commanding charge. It shows that you are serious, you mean business, you know exactly where you're going, you know what you want to achieve, and you know the kind of cooperation that you expect from your people. What success personality have you defined? So how do your people know that their journey with you has been successful? Is it because they achieve the targets? Is that all? What tells them that their period serving under you, working with you on that leader follower journey has been worthwhile? What gives you the basis to say, I have fought a good fight, I've finished my course, I have achieved my mandate? Do you have some kind of report card, or is it the same, still the same targets? What do you make known as the sign of success to your people? I have talked about making people into a personality. That's what you must describe. That success with me is you having A, having B, having C. Now, we teach, for example, in that Smart Leader program, is you exhibiting the skills that I have. And I will list the skills. Because those are some of the things that I have to offer you. When you have them, when you replicate them at a particular level, then I know that this journey has been worth our while. So there is what I'm going to show you, that when you look at yourself in the mirror and you see these things, you have made progress. And I can count on you to succeed me, to a large extent or to a lesser extent. But at least, there is a basis. Again, you galvanize everybody towards, some central interest. Some central interest. With too many times we fail as leaders to be clear to those that we should pretend over what is in it for them. What's their interest? And too many times we think that achieving the target, is what is their interest. And we can't be more wrong. All right. So the regular leader hopes that her people will turn out well, since you don't describe anything. So well is neither here nor there. The smart leader paints a clear picture of how well her people should turn out. Can you see the difference? Can you see why that is smarter? All right. Do you put people first? I talked about that again last week. But let me use this time, to use the quote as, a way. It says, the regular leader explains why her people cannot be helped in their distress or in their challenge. The smart leader helps her people in distress and explains why the policy was violated. Do you understand? That's a people first orientation. That men are not made for laws, laws are made for men. Of course, the idea is not for you to be frivolous. That's why I said people in distress. There is a condition in which your people are that you need to place their welfare. The smart leader places their welfare above every other thing. And even if they have to violate policy, they will, because they have justification for it. And their conscience is clear that that's the right thing to do. They don't hide under, some rule to show their mean side to the same people that they claim to be leading. They are not the people who see a woman who has been bent down for 38 years or 18 years, and there is an opportunity to help her, and they say, come back on Monday because you can't get healed on Saturday, or is forbidden. And in case you think that is, just religion, there are many that do it. I've seen too many of it, where there is an opportunity, a clear case to help your staff, but there is a regulation that is standing in the way. Okay, there is only so much you can approve as, cash advance for this purpose. But there is a dangerous need that somebody can really be destroyed. And you can sign off more than that. All right. But you're saying I don't want to violate. So it means that as far as you're concerned, the policy is more important than that person. And then you turn around and say that person is not committed to you. Whereas the consequences of the two are incomparable. And so there are many of us that find ourselves in this, and it's not smart, whatever the justification is. All right, it's not smart. So, strength in what is written. This is to emphasize the fact that as a leader you must be committed to learning, but much more principles or truths. There is an anchor that you need. You don't do leadership by leading. Some people you hear, how do you learn to pray? You learn to pray by praying. How do you learn? Do you learn to do anything by just doing it? You are not wise because we do. You are wise because you hear and do. And you hear from the right source. You hear the right thing. Before you hear to understand, before you do. Because in doing, you have an expectation. So some lead by instinct. They don't even have any formal, exposure to the development of their leadership skills. But they are presiding over people anyway. And they do it for years. And so in the process, they believe that they are good leaders or they are strong leaders. But they lead by instinct. They don't lead by any set of tested and proven set of principles that even they can outline. And that's a shame. So the regular leader leads by instinct. They do what they feel is right. Feel. But you can't do what you feel is right. You do what you know to be right. And what you know to be right has to be based on clear principles. I always say the thing with principle is that they have no respect for anybody. Principle answer to everybody in the same way. What you sow is what you get. If you and I hold the same seed and we plant it in the same soil and we give it the same treatment, you won't get a better result than me, and vice versa. The beauty of principles. Even God operates on the basis of principles. That's why it says, as long as this earth remains, seed time and the time to harvest, they will never cease. Solid principle. The world runs on that principle. And if you are looking for principles to run your leadership by, that's number one. I can give you others. And that's a principle that never fails, by the way. It's not because I say so. It's because you know so. After all, you eat. What you eat is planted, hopefully. And if it is planted, they follow the same process. That same principle. It keeps the world running. That principles, they lend credence to the efforts of the farmer. Without it, imagine what farming would be like. It would be like playing pools. Leadership is not for playing pools. You can't play pools. You can't bet with the lives of people. But you can bet on principle. Because if you run by it, you know what you're going to get. So what principles do you run by? Another reason to go through those programs, and in particular, the class of 12. What are you investing? This just goes further to build on that principle. What do you invest in the relationship? This, as a leader, what do you invest that you are hoping to get a reciprocal reaction? Do you invest anything? Do you know what you're investing? Are you clear about what this thing is costing you? And therefore, what the people should pay you back with. And by the way, without asking them. But some of us want to reap where we are not sowing. We are giving so little, we are demanding so much. And I ask leaders to look at themselves. Can you write down, what has leadership cost you? What is leadership costing you? If leadership is not costing you anything of significance, you are playing games with the lives of people. You need to think again. And that's not smart. So the regular leader expects our people to follow. Yeah, because I'm the leader. Expect the people to line up behind me. The smart leader invests in that relationship in order to make her people follow. Do you have an inner circle? Somebody talked about fairness, no partiality. And this is where it gets a bit tricky. When you have a team, and I say, do you have within your team an inner circle? Are there people in your team that they have gotten to a place where you can take them into confidence on some issues that you can't take their colleagues into confidence on? It is not partiality. It is a recognition of their levels of development. And one of the things that we miss, thinking that the inner circle means like a caucus or a cabal, is that the inner circle is to be made up of people who have truly developed, who imbibe more of what you have planted in your people, than the idea is to use them as a catalyst for amplifying the effect of what they now carry on your people. Because believe it or not, there is an influence that peers have on themselves that even the leader may not have, on them. So a smart leader walks through peers to enhance the power of their influence, on the team. If we look at the concept from that point of view, we see that it's not about advocating impartiality or injustice. All right? And certainly we know, that Jesus was not partial, but he had 3 people that were closer to him than among the 12. And I'd like to be able to talk about that, but that would take me a masterclass by itself. But it's what, talking about so that you understand why was it like that, and what can we learn from it. So the regular leader tries to treat everyone equally, in quotes. When treating everyone equally can be unfair, on the one hand, the smart leader uses an inner circle to bring everybody up, to bring others who are lagging behind up. And the inner circle often points to the candidates, the successor candidates, the people who are likely, to. So it's also an opportunity to begin to put them in roles, where they start getting a feel of what being in charge will look like. Are you disappointed when your people are weak? Are you disappointed when, sorry, I skipped some things here. Are you disappointed when your people are weak? For some of us, we are disappointed when our people, show any kind of weakness. It's like, what is it? I mean, given all that I've invested, given all that I've told you people, can't you even listen? Or you still keep making the same mistakes and all of that. We are so intolerant, you know. We don't forbear our people as if we never make mistakes, as if the people are not under us, all right, for transformation purposes, and that in the process of change, they're going to make mistakes. All right. But more importantly, we fail to recognize something very important, that when people make mistakes, it opens you up to see, what more you need to pay attention to as a smart leader. So smart leaders don't get upset. All right. They may be frustrated, but they know how to take advantage of the situation instead of dissipate all their energy trying to vent anger as if the anger will correct the situation. It's not to suggest, that we shouldn't be firm, that we shouldn't be disciplined, but in the process, some of us don't even know how to convey those emotions. We become rude. All right, we make the people's self-esteem, we erode the people's self-esteem by the way we talk to them, as if they are any less of human beings, you know, just because they have those shortcomings. All right, and that's not. So the regular leader flares up when people goof, but the smart leader uses the goof to fulfill their purpose. You can see smartness in that. Do you seek privileges from your followers when they are to seek from you? Some of us ask for favors as leaders. All right? Can you buy me this? Can you get me that? And when they do it, at times we don't even volunteer or offer to pay. Or they say, don't worry, sir, don't worry, I've already paid for it. And we are, on the one hand, we are happy they paid for it. Instead of saying, no, 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 thank you very much, but please allow me to pay. The truth is this: the more privileges you seek, the lower your leverage with your people. Why? Because whether you like it or not, you now begin to owe them. Since they did this for you, they did that for you. If you're smart enough as a leader, you know that that's dangerous and you don't want to get into that tough. So you have to be mindful. The privileges you seek, or the privileges they are quick to offer, let it be you offering the privilege so that you can maintain your reputation, your credibility, and you are not putting yourself in a position where you will be seen as being indebted to certain people, and when you need to talk, you will not be able to talk. All right? That's putting yourself in the place of weakness, and that's not wise. That's not wise. All right, do you give when your people ask you? Do you give? When people goof, mean when they make mistake. To goof is is to make a mistake, is to commit an error, is to do something that we would ordinarily not expect of you. I mean, something that is inappropriate. All right. So, given when they ask, do you give when your people? How do you respond when your people ask questions? When they ask for clarification? When they don't understand something? Some of us again don't. We retort. Like, what do you mean you don't know that? Have you just joined this group? Did you start doing that today? How can you be on your level and you are telling me that you don't know that? If the person doesn't know, the person doesn't know. Why not, look at it and seize advantage of, the fact that the person reveals that, shortcoming, and fill in the gap. If they knew as much as you know, you won't be the one leading them. All right? So the regular leader wonders why her people ask dumb questions or inappropriate questions, in case that is too tough. The smart leader encourages her people to ask all the questions. Why? Because they know every time somebody asks you a question, it tells you the level of their understanding. It opens your eyes to what gaps exist, and it prompts you, if you're smart, to deal with those gaps. That's smartness. Know the one needful thing. There's something that you need to let your people know. The regular leader focuses her people on results. The smart leader focuses her people on her words. On her words. That's one thing that is needful for every follower. All right? You want them to hear what you are saying and to do them. So, if they are not paying attention to your words, you have a problem. If they pay enough attention to your words, those results you want them to achieve won't be too far-fetched. You don't yet understand the power of your words in in achieving the purpose of your leadership. Do you allow encumbrance? What do I mean by encumbrance? Do you carry dead woods for a disproportionate period of time within your team? Do you bear with people's non-performance for too long? There's a time to bear non-performance and to work on the people, all right, towards enhancing their ability to deliver. But it's not forever. So, although you may not meet targets depending on the competencies of your team within certain period of time, but you expect that in the longer term you would have built the capacity of your team to get far better results. But in order to do that, there is a time beyond which you cannot and you must not accommodate non-performance or deadwoods. There are people, you have invested in them, you have worked, you have explained, you have shown, you have demanded performance, but they are not coming through. And it looks as if they are not making any headway under your leadership. It's time to look for somewhere else for them. Otherwise, you won't be smart continuing to allow those people to encumber the space. Encumbering the space means they are taking up valuable membership space in your team that somebody else who would respond better, all right, would have taken up, and the team will be better in terms of performance than you are currently having to manage with. So you again can see what smartness entails in that regard. The regular leader accommodates prolonged non-performance while her people enjoy privileges, because as long as they are there, they are getting paid their salaries, they are getting benefits, they are getting your own attention. You are expending resources on them. But the smart leader demands that the people be removed who failed to justify the privileges they enjoy. Of course, again, after some time. Are you consuming all benefits of your performance alone? All right. Are you like that man, who had a windfall, forgot that the windfall was as a result of the work that his people did, but he never remembered to share any part of it with the people other than paying their salaries? So when you get applauded, when you get recognized, when you are given a bonus for what your team accomplished, do you just pocket them? Do you just say, thank you, gentlemen, you have done well, but you don't share out of what you pocketed? That's not being smart, because the people are not stupid. It's important, however little, to recognize that they made a contribution. Even if they were rewarded, it doesn't hurt you sharing some of what you received with them. The regular leader counts her performance reward as personal and so pockets everything, albeit stupidly. And the smart leader gladly shares her performance reward with her people. All right? I didn't say equally, I simply said, ensure that you recognize your people in that manner from your own, not from management, from your own. It has a lot of significance. Where is your treasure? Is the next thing. Where is your treasure? Is your heart truly in your leadership responsibility? Where is the treasure that you have committed to or invested in? Okay, because you see, if you don't value your people, you can't apply yourself appropriately. If all you are thinking is the results, you can't commit to their development. The regular leader treasures our people only when they get results. But the smart leader treasures her people to motivate them to get results. They are two different things. They are two different things, and you see why one is smarter. Are you aware of the cost of leadership? Did you truly count the cost of leadership? Or you just went on, sat on the seat and, let's do it, gentlemen? Have you ever sat down to think, what does this entail? What's it going to take from me? Am I ready to give it? Do I want to do it the way it should be done? All right? Or you are just doing it because it has to be done. They're different things. The regular leader balks at the cost of leadership. Or the smart leader is prepared to pay what it costs to lead. And it certainly costs something to lead. Are you distracted by betrayal? If you are betrayed, how does it affect you? Here I say, are you unduly conscious of betrayal or the fear of it from your people? Are you aware that loyalty has limits? Are you aware that loyalty has limits? What do I mean by that? There are some things that will happen that your people will never turn back from you. But there is a level of temptation that they will face that they won't have capacity to remain committed to you. When a leader understands that, it helps a great deal. You can operate smarter with them. To think that, loyalty is all round and is all purpose, all right, is to be mistaken. You have to build the capacity of the people to remain loyal. The more matured your people are, the more loyal they become. Not because they don't want to be loyal, but because there is a limit to the capacity, all right, to accommodate the temptations to be disloyal. How do you test loyalty? Is that what do you do when challenges arise to prove that you are loyal to me? Anybody can say they are loyal. We will know whether you are loyal when challenges come. And you have to make a choice whether to line up behind me, or to line up against me. So it is the challenge that proves loyalty. And challenges come at different levels. And it takes capacity, it takes inner strength. It takes a level of maturity and development to be able to handle challenges. So you can immediately see that there is nothing like, loyalty forever. The regular leader does not tolerate betrayal. The smart leader sees betrayal as an opportunity and takes advantage of it. Are you harboring a den of thieves? What do I mean here? What I mean is that who is hanging around your people and influencing them, contrary to what you are trying to achieve? It could even be their peers. There are people distracting your people or your follower. And if you don't checkmate such people, if you don't take notice and get rid of such distractions, it will be like pouring water into a basket and the basket is just flowing off. So you must be interested. All right. All right. You must be interested in that. And so you have the regular leader does not tolerate betrayal. Uh, the smart leader sees betrayal as an opportunity. Sorry, I need to correct that slide. Okay. Have you lost hope in a great asset? What do I mean here? Has one of your great assets opted to leave the team? One of the things that some leaders also do not do very well is that they don't take kindly to when their good people leave. When people that they believe, have invested a lot in this person now, look at what he has become. Look at, I know where we started working, where he was when we started working. Look at what he has now become, and now is the time that he wants to leave. And dear leader, if you are smart, what do? It's not the time to get upset. It's not the time to say unpleasant things. It's not the time to act as if you are a benefactor to that person. If that person is that great an asset, go after the person and try to bring the person back. That's what a good leader does. That's what a smart leader does. If you have invested in something, are you going to leave it just to allow it to go? But because of pride, you don't want to be seen to go and beg the person to come back. No, you have to put that aside and look at the bright side, especially when you know that perhaps that person is not ripe yet. Even if that person has to leave, that's not the right time. Even if that person has to leave because you know, because of your experience, that's not the right place to go. You should go after the person and to woo the person back, all right, is a smart way to preserve all the investment that you have made in the person. It's not the time to get upset and be lamenting and be complaining to everybody and be looking for people to sympathize with you. All right? So the regular leader nurses disappointment when a great team asset leaves. The smart leader goes after a great team asset to bring them back. And if you do it with the right heart, you would succeed. They will come back. Are you overwhelmed? Some are overwhelmed by the demands of their leadership responsibility. For a set of reasons. But you need rest, you need patience, you need to be quiet at times, you need to develop effective delegation skills, and more importantly, you need to stay in touch and seek counsel from a mentor to deal with that tricky, vulnerability. The regular leader sees overwhelm as a weakness. It's not a weakness, all right? It comes with the territory. There's a threat of it, but you need to know how to manage it. So the smart leader takes steps to avoid overwhelm. Do you present yourself as a benefactor? I just talked about that. As if, you're coming, there is nothing as good as your coming. You are the best thing that has happened to your followers, since ice cream, or so they say. Are you a benefactor? Is that the way you project yourself or present yourself? Do you truly understand the place of a leader, the kind of attitude you bring to bear on the people? Your attitude should be to convey that you appreciate the privilege of service. It's a privilege to be a leader. You're not a benefactor. You're a servant. So the regular leader sees self as a benefactor. The smart leader is upfront about her servant status. All right, those slides are, replaced there. So I conclude by saying, next steps, what are your imperatives? The first is to recognize and accept that there is a vital need and accept responsibility for solving the need, for doing whatever it takes to close the gap. If you feel that anything I have said is making sense, that you need to apply yourself better, all right, in your leadership role, then if you recognize that from this session and you accept it, the next thing is to seek help. And when you find the help, to commit to it so that that need can be serviced. So you look for where you can get help to solve it, you embrace the help, and you commit to it so that you can see results. And finally, putting insights into action. So all that you have got, if you will, this is what I'd like to share with you on the subject matter this evening. I hope you have gotten, something from it. But if I may, we're also here to help. This is what we do. Like I said, I have coaching people, who I meet with regularly, every twice, 3 times a month, and just basically to develop them in certain aspects of, leadership, building their competence. But we have a variety of opportunities that you can look at following what you have heard. We have the Smart Leader Program. We have the Class of 12. You can reach out to me on a coaching call, and we can walk through your coaching issues together to identify the kind of interventions you need, or if you have any specific, situations. I would use the leadership personality quiz, and you can walk through that and tell a story of what your personality is like, what are the things that you need to address, and possibly also offer to help you in any regard that we can. And then there's of course the VIP coaching, which is bespoke. We have a discussion, and as we find what your issues are, we'll suggest to you what you can do to address them and how we can help you. The Smart Leader Program, like I said, you find it on the board. You can see a link there. You can copy that link and use that link. I would like to believe that a session like this, you know exactly, what it will cost. What we have tried to discuss in 2 hours is something we can spend a day, 2 days, or even 1 week to talk about, because we haven't gone into detail on a number of them. But the Smart Leader Program, like I said, is a 30-day program. It's at your convenience, entirely at your convenience. So it comes to like 1,000 a day. You get a video that contains a clear message, very tangible things, that you can begin to use immediately and begin to feel their impact. So 30,000 for those, who are in Naira, $300 for those who are outside. That comes to like $10 a day as well. There's a certificate that you get at the end of it. It's convenient because you can watch the videos anytime and all of that. There are daily assignments. So at the end of each video, you listen to an assignment and you have the opportunity of, sending your assignment in. We comment on them, we throw more light on them. And that's even ahead of the Saturday sessions that we have. And then, of course, you have the personal change plan. So as you address those questions, you observe, you are guided to look inwards to see where you are missing it, to see what kind of improvements, and hopefully at the end of the day, you should come up with a personal plan based on all that you have learned that can, around which or to which you can anchor your approach to leadership, your practice of leadership going forward. That's the Smart Leader Program for those who are interested. And I think everybody needs it. I always provide a guarantee that if you go through it, as cheap as it is, and even if I say so, I know that is cheap. I mean, I know what it takes to record a 30-minute video. So to offer 30 of those or 31 of those, even if I say it, and but you can judge for yourself. But we know what the responses have been for those who are going through it and those who have gone through it. And I'm sure that um, you would know what value you get if you make that investment. And if you don't get value, just and you see our email, just send me an email and ask for your money back. And we'll be too glad to refund your money. We'll be too glad to refund your money back. All right. Um, and there is the class of 12. So there you find a class of 12, only 12 people working weekly for 12 weeks. Um, is an advanced program, but is worth every dime. We deal with 12 core issues. They are foundation issues, for doing leadership right. And, we just lay it bare. So it's for those who have an appreciation for truth. It's for those who are not offended by truth. It's for those who understand that, there is safety in committing to what is true and operating by it. And that is the greatest antidote to hypocrisy. And therefore, the driver or the motivator for authenticity. Many people talk about being authentic as leaders, yet they are not committed to truth and they don't operate on the basis of truth. There are recorded videos. I lead those sessions personally. There'll be group assignments and you can network as well. There are other benefits because there will be other sessions, outside the main, interactive live sessions. By the way, these are not just videos, but there will be access to the recorded videos. But these are not just videos. I will be just like I'm dealing, but it will just be 12 of us, in the class. And that happens. We start a cohort once every month. Okay, so that's it. There's a link for that as well at the bottom of the page. You can see that. And if you are someone who would prefer or still have, still want, in addition to those two, you still want to, work with me, you believe that you need like a one-on-one sort of interaction, and, so you can reach out to me. You can use that link, book a time. You can book a call with me. I'll spend 30 minutes with you free and we can walk through your leadership issues. I can walk you through the leadership personality quiz. I use a framework: review, diagnose, prescribe, and execute, and give you some recommendations as well. And, based on that, you also know what the way forward is. So I'll just leave those options with you. Like I said, below each you have the links, and all right, if you are interested in the 30-day program, please just go ahead and use the link if you uh, uh, copied it, and but I believe, like I said, I have a guarantee. There are people here who have gone through that program. Some are currently going through it. Um, we have capacity to take as many people as possible. It's at your own convenience. It's at your own time. You finish when you want to finish. We deliver, on daily basis as the case may be, and and we expect, and we are interacting with you. I respond to every single one of the assignments that you submit. And by the way, I throw light on, the issues as I see them. And recently, one of us has made it a point of duty to ask certain questions, in response to what, he or she listens to. And I found that interesting. So there is that communication that I call it, unlimited coaching for 90 days via email. You also have that. I didn't list that. So you can ask me any question on leadership and I'll respond. As long as you're on that program, though, that's part of what they enjoy. They can, but they only interact with me live on Saturdays. But Once you start that program for 90 days, so even after you finish, you can send me an email and you are guaranteed that I will respond. And you are guaranteed as well that I would be as candid, as truthful as I can. Remember, this is Emmet Leadership Academy, where leaders are nurtured on the basis of truth. What the Bible does not support, we don't teach. And the fact that the Bible supports it is all the proof that you need. My 30 years plus notwithstanding, that's where our confidence is. And that's why we know these things, they work. They've worked in my experience and they still work. They will always work. So I commend them to you, and I'd like to thank everyone who has found time to share their precious time this night, with us. My hope is that it's been worth your while, and I thank you for staying, up till this time and for the questions that you have asked. Um, I have to, yes, I will endeavor to send out the recording. People always ask for it. Um, at some point during the course of next week, I will. Um, all right, so, all right, I believe that my auntie is on the um, has been on the program. Mrs. Ashai, good evening. You're welcome. Thank you for staying so long. And I note the contributions that you have made as well. Um, the ordinary leaders work by directives. How can anyone work effectively under such leaders? Does one just resign and find work elsewhere? I believe that you're talking about the gap between the level of your development and those that work um, for you or with you. I think one of the most effective ways is to try and bridge that gap by bringing somebody who can who is not as developed as you are, but can relate with them at their level. And one of the things that I think that you need at your level is having understood the level at which they're operating. You need extra patience. You need extra patience. Of course, it happens where, because of the experience that you have garnered over many years, they were trying, and I think part of it is structural, because if you typically would find that in businesses that are where you're an entrepreneur and you are so developed that at your later years, having worked for so many years now, you are now getting into your own business, and you discover you're having to recruit people, and you're not recruiting people who are very senior, who are senior as you. Why? Because one, the cost, of getting such people. Two, because the business cannot immediately accommodate them, doesn't even have a role for them yet. The business is not big enough. So you have to operate with the category of people that are far away from you, and you have to be the one, relating with them directly. I think that's one of the implications of, it was one of the challenges of entrepreneurs, especially when the entrepreneur in this case spent many years working for others before he or she got into her own her own job. Kindly bear with me, please. Let me correct some challenge here.